First things first. Oh shit, I can't take a look at my outfits. Do I really need to fast travel to a different control point to take a look at my outfits? Well, whatever. We will collect the reward here, and since I'm here, I might as well. Where am I right now? I'm in the containment sector still? I'll look for another one. Just regular killer, his warped. Sure, whatever. Also, collectibles. Let's go. His do we? Yeah, let's read these. Analysis of his threat part 2, confidential. Researchers were sent to transcribe the recursive chant repeated by the his entities. In the interest of safety, this was done with the non-aggressive floating his entities. However, no distinction between this repeating phrase and the one repeated by the more violent his entities have been observed. What is the purpose of this repeating string of words? Is this how the hiss corrupts individuals? Does the chant produce a physical effect? Is it a message, an incantation? We were able to record a first-hand recitation of the chanting. See the corresponding audio record. Oh, this was by the time well, of course it was by the time we were here, since it's about the hiss, but still. So I have talked about their chant before. It's a German after all, but anyway. Speech analysis. If we understand the hiss to be a force based on vibration and resonance, then perhaps the incantation, which is now the agreed upon term for the vocalizations, is an effort to express that resonance using human vocal cords in speech. Would there be differences if the incantation were recited in a different language? The most common word used is want. Interestingly, every usage of the word is attributed to a you. You want to listen. You want this to be true. No! It's never in English, is it? You must want these waves to drag you away. Are we the hiss are referring to? Does the hiss believe humanity, possibly all non-hiss life, wants to join it? To be consumed by it? Is that its goal? The second most used word are through and time. Is possibly the hiss stating how they arrived here, or an indication of its age? There's clear intention in these words, or in the words rather. Dismissing the incantation as nonsense, as some of my colleagues recommend, is beyond idiotic. Timeline of events. To examine the invasion's timeline of events for possible patterns in his behavior. Establishing a timeline is difficult at present because of lack of reliable communications between bureau sectors and staff. Preliminary models indicate ground zero of the invasion is located within the executive sector. Once it becomes possible to interview surviving personnel, pinpointing the exact location should be feasible. Other outstanding questions that a timeline may help answer. How did they get past the internal lockdown? How did the resonance advance through space? Deliberately or uniformly? What is their goal? The outside world? Cross-dimensional destination? Dylan, Fade, and daily observations. 9 a.m. Breakfast is brought. Brought? 11:54. Gets out of bed. Wow. She doesn't even... I was about to say, she doesn't even use the toilet after breakfast. Uses toilet, returns to bed. Asks for television to be turned on, staff do so. Oh, it's Dylan. It's not Jesse. Okay. Asks for television to be... Oh my god, he's watching television while they're in there? Lunch is brought. Breakfast is removed. Eats lunch. Uses toilet. Begins talking to self. Recording speech is not possible due to noise from television. Becomes upset. Throws lunch tray at glass. 4 minutes later. Sedated. Crew clean the cell. Television is turned off. Comes to. Asks for television to be turned on. Staff refuse. Sleeps. Television privileges were refused due to hostile behavior. Why does he want to watch the telly so bad? Also, he sleeps for 12 hours at a time, apparently. Or even more. Employee report. Incident in question occurred on blah 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 and was brought to HR department's attention by the internal security personnel who intervened. According to reports supported by security camera footage, Agent Filson entered the staff kitchen with the intention of consuming his private meal. A homemade sandwich cut diagonally and packed in a plastic container, but discovered the refrigerator had something his meal. Had already eaten his meal? Agent Filson began to kick the Bureau-owned appliance as he expressed his frustration in a loud and profane manner. His behavior caused multiple staff members present to become alarmed. Security was alerted soon after. Filson complied with security's commands to desist. He just kicked the fucking fridge? What? Agent Filson was reprimanded and suspended for the remainder of the ongoing work week. The review committee recommends one non-mandatory counseling session. Okay, here we go. Jesse Faden movement tracking. Oh my god, this is like going by cities and states. Eastwards movement calls for concern. So they've been tracking me for like a month, or at least in this file. And then we arrive in New York. Current time, I guess. Mold autopsy. The deceased was a 5-year-old tap dancer with no significant past medical history. Subject was brought in after being discovered in the active threshold in an early state of decay that is characteristically fungal based in its appearance. During autopsy, the cadaver's pleural cavities were revealed to be entirely filled by the fungus known as the mold, to an extent that medical staff were forced to put on decontamination suits. The procedure was also hindered by anomalies such as the deceased high body temperature and undulating torso muscles, presumably, but not probably. What the fuck kind of word is probably? Did they mistype since B and V are right next to each other? Caused by trapped gases. Routine samples as well as tissue samples requested by Dr. Underhill were successfully extracted. However, the rapid retrogression outside of the host body needs to be noted. Cause of death, mold ingestion. Interesting. Quarry incident. During my weekly safety inspection to the quarry threshold, I discovered the entire crew in a state of watching TV. The whole team was fucking... I can't say this. Can't say this either. They were dumb. Aligned and staring at in a uniform direction, the city in the distance. Despite my most vocal efforts to gain their attention, they remained pacified for more than 5,000 minutes until I had to resort to literally slapping them on the butt cheeks. Afterwards, they were dazed and could not provide any rationale for their behavior or any specific memories of engaging in it. My official recommendation for any crew working in a threshold area is either to shorten the length of their shifts or to carry out mandatory psychological evaluations on a weekly basis, or preferably both. Maybe we should order another expedition to the city. Salvador's ID. That was Salvador. It should never have been accessible to low clearance staff in the first place. Lynn Salvador. Lynn. Okay. Threshold management retrospective, threshold 90. Oh, there's so much blacked out in this one. Threshold with effect manifested in containment sector in the middle of the blah 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 department. Simultaneously, numerous school children appeared in the area, injuring and killing many elderly. After rescue operations were completed and the school children were escorted back to their classrooms, rangers were sent in to discover the threshold's epicenter. The sheer amount of Werther's originals made the expedition impossible. Guess this is about the clocks. The area was sealed off after removing... Yeah, the clocks proved an impossible task. The department was relocated and the area abandoned. Researchers theorized the threshold introduced unstable matter to our dimension, which adopted the form of the clocks as clocks, when introduced to more stable clocks. Willow AW shipping manifest. Holosphere, vitrified soil, redacted pieces of various sized colors, animal carcass, possibly canine, rusted metal bucket, leather wallet, aged shotgun cartridge. All materials to go to the investigation sector for further analysis. Case files. Oh, so much to read. This is going to be its own episode. The Benikoff TV. No unique containment procedures required while bound. Well, yeah, I guess while bound, but while unbound. A CRT didn't it wasn't going crazy and hence why no one wanted to go in there or something? A CRT television built by Benikoff and Sons Electrics. Screen is still functional. The object can levitate itself off the ground to a maximum observed altitude of 2 centimeters. When bound, the object allows para-utility utilitarians to harness this effect for their own use. Object is currently bound by Jesse Faden. Object was first discovered in a local news story from somewhere in Kansas. I really don't know any cities in the different states, sorry. A figure had been seen flying over buildings. The Bureau dispatched agents to the town who discovered that a man named Mergel Schmergel had bound himself to the object. Mr. Schmergel was detained. CK something, and the object was brought to the Bureau for study. Bright Falls supplement. Bright Falls is the name of the location. What's it called? Alan Wake plays in, right? Oh, here we go. Bright Falls, AWE 35. Alice Wake, Mr. Wake's wife, was found during the Bureau investigation. She was interviewed and evaluated. She showed signs of severe mental trauma in the form of... Not gonna say it. Memory loss. She was later directed to treatment. It was concluded that she had been trapped in the threshold during its manifestation. Notable individuals still missing after the Bright Falls event are FBI Special Agent Robert Nightingale and Dr. Emil Hartman, referred to the Crater's Dilemma and the file regarding the Cauldron Lake Lodge. Bureau researchers believe this event was the result of a forceful perception of subjective reality stemming from Mr. Wake, overlapping on our own. Wake has been flagged as a potential para-utilitarian. See Prime Candidate Program for more details. Wow. In 2011, a book by Clay Stewart titled The Alan Wake Files was published by Roundabout Press, New York and Olympia. Agents interviewed Clay Stewart and suspected minor para-utilitarian sensitivity. Was placed under indefinite surveillance. Who the fuck is Clay Stewart? First time I heard about this. A monitoring station was established at Cauldron Lake to alert the Bureau of any future activity. Hopefully as soon as Alan Wake 2 comes out, I guess. It's going to be more future activity. Anchor procedures. Black rock paneling successfully prevents manifestation of the sphere. A Trotman-style anchor made of iron with a wooden stock. Surface is rusted in places. Weighs a lot of pounds. The item generates a persistent blank sphere, the purpose of which is currently unknown. Sphere is always generated at a precise point in relation to the item, specifically some amount horizontal feet and some amount vertical feet from the center of the anchor. Ranger First Class was dropped into the sphere wearing a diving suit with dedicated oxygen line at 2 a.m. EST. After 10 minutes and 13 seconds inside the sphere, his oxygen line was cut at the sphere's border by an unseen force. All agents in the room during his entry into the sphere experienced vomiting, vertigo, and loss of fingernails within an hour of one another. Ranger fucking Unlucky Man has been declared MIA, presumed dead. What? The crew of the White Ocelot first encountered a strange spherical phenomenon while fishing in the Arctic Sea. Witnesses described it as a black sphere with faint light behind it. Hovered just off the bow of the ship. The crew, blah blah blah, by throwing a tin bucket, which disappeared into the sphere. What could be in the redacted sentence? Sometimes I wonder if they just randomly redacted stuff just to mess with you. Soon after, the vessel lost structural integrity. The ship's metal rusted and fell apart within minutes. As the ship sank, the sphere lowered into the water. A passing fishing vessel called the Coast Guard. Oh, a passing fishing vessel called let's call it the Nautilus, rescued the 4 surviving crew. Agents were dispatched to the White Ocelot's last known coordinates and began diving operations. On the ocean floor, the agents found the sphere. The ship was entirely destroyed except for its anchor. As agents lifted the anchor off the ocean floor, they noticed the sphere behaved in conjunction with the anchor, moving and stopping as one. Contact with the sphere was avoided, but handling the anchor proved harmless. The item was transported by blah 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 to the US port of blah blah blah. Upon arriving in New York, it was brought into the Bureau via something. So there's a sphere that like sucks time and space, constantly following this one anchor. That's kind of weird. Glow procedures. No unique procedures required. However, contact should be limited as some report feeling disoriented after touching it. Item is handmade, set in dark wood. Item itself is lacquered, hand-painted, spins freely on all axes. How does that work? While the continents and oceans are recognizably those of Earth, careful examination has revealed numerous discrepancies, I guess, and other geographic additions that do not exist on our planet. One of these islands has a city marked on it named Tanrelio. The There are no signatures left by its maker. Physical contact renders subjects dizzy and disoriented, with some reporting a feeling of unfamiliarity with the surroundings. This effect seems to grow worse with prolonged contact, culminating in a sense of listlessness and depression. Suicide has been observed in 25 handlers. Handed chair. God, I love this so much. Item must be kept in isolation, removed from other unsecured objects. Under no circumstances is the item to be sat in. A plastic seat shaped like a human hand from the 1960s. The hand's palm forms a seat with the fingers acting as the chair's back. The item affects gravitational force. Fuck, I can't read anymore. Attracting and repelling objects near itself with a force of 25 GE. Its fingers have also been observed to change position, though too quickly to be witnessed or filmed. How does this work? Too quickly to be filmed? How can it be observed, but too quickly to be witnessed? Or maybe it just changes, but you don't see it change. Like, you blink and then suddenly it's there in a different position. The item may be changing forms rather than moving, yeah. The item only displays these effects during full moons. Sample analysis confirms that it contains human genetic material. Found in a warehouse at your mama's, Albany. Team of ranger trainees accompanied by an experienced field agent were dispatched to investigate local rumors when they encountered the item. Successfully retrieved it. Mirror supplements. Wow. Blah 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 blah. She was admitted to a mental ward for emotional instability soon after relocating to Illinois with her family in 1914. The item only appears on record again in 2006 when the Bureau investigated a sudden rise in disappearances in somewhere Illinois. Agents found the item hanging in the local library. They contained it quickly, though the missing people of the town were never recovered. On August 18th, 1915, we certified that the case of Mrs. Mirror Woman has shown her to be a lunatic under the reasons of hysteria, bad company, and what the fuck is imaginary female trouble? Thinking you're troubled by something? Of the female kind? I think I have constant imaginary female trouble. Her fixation with the family-looking glass is noteworthy, though not an uncommon matter when considering the female disposition. What? Miss Carver is a fit subject for the lunatic asylum and will remain in its confines until her affliction has passed. Signed, Dr. Misogynist. Refrigerator procedures. No unique procedures required. Actually, you need to look at it. An Arctic Queen brand electric refrigerator model from the 1960s. No cooling functionality. The door is decorated with crayon illustrations by someone. The illustrations cannot be removed from the item. All attempts have failed. We have read about this one before, right? The paper cannot be burned or torn. I think first came to the Bureau's attention after it survived the collapse of New York City's Grand Central Hotel, where it served as an appliance in an apartment somewhere, rented by a man named something. Became the subject of local infamy after surviving the building's collapse undamaged. Someone who was out of the building at the time of collapse retained ownership of the item until 1974, when the Bureau purchased the item through a false identity. New altered effect has been observed. Okay. Next up, Correspondence. Dead dog. I see a creepy thief delivery and raise you a dead dog. Yeah, like a straight up deceased dog. Had a collar on it and everything. Been rotting in that box since they packed it up. Go ahead and imagine how that smelled. Imagine that smell. So don't go whining to me. I wish I got to watch a parade of human teeth. Multimedia. We have listened to these. We can take a look at some hotlines. Like this one about the prime candidates, I guess.
After North Moore stepped down, I doubled every effort to find new prime candidates. There was no one. No one but me. That wasn't good enough. I pushed hard. I never wanted the Bureau to end up in that situation again. The Bureau needs a director. Always. When my time reaches an end, I want more options on the table. P1 through P5 were all false leads, dead ends, and disappointments. Then P6, Dylan Faden. He fell into our arms. No parents, they're gone, casualties of an AWE. The boy has exceptional talent. The oldest house will be his home. We'll build him from the ground up. He'll be trained and taken care of. Darling can be in charge of this project. I can't. I'll stay away. I will not fail the boy like I failed my own family. My daughter and my wife. We weren't careful enough back then. Something came home with me. I took work home. My Susanna got sick. When I realized my mistake, I wanted to bring her here for Darling to do what he could. Kate flat out refused. Civilian doctors treated our daughter, but they didn't have a clue. She died. Kate left me. Same old story. That was a long time ago.
Also doesn't have anything to do with the prime candidates.
And the prime candidates are our future. There are two, P6 and P7. We're spoiled for choice.
Great. I don't know what to think about these. like little dumpy expositions, but so are the things to read. It's just that they are deliberately set up in this wannabe mystical and mysterious way that it's just a little bit off the mark for me personally. It's very dramatic, and he's just standing there with a cigarette, and like the pictures are looping all the time, and he's talking about this stuff in very cryptic and vague sentences, not making much sense regardless. And I'm sitting here trying to make sense of it, and yes, sometimes it does make sense, but why can't this be conveyed another way? I guess it's a different kind of audio log, and maybe one should look past it and try to acknowledge that it's a type of audio log that shouldn't even be there. Why does Jessie know this? She only knows this due to her connection with the past director, basically. So does she get this like fed right into her brain or something? Is this why it's so weird? I don't know. I can try to look for in-lore and in-game reasons all I want, but in the end, I will never find out. Well,